It's somewhere past midnight. You're lying in the dark, eyes closed, and you are still completely you. You can feel the weight of the blanket. You're replaying something stupid you said in 2014. You are awake. And then, at some exact second you will never be able to identify, you stop. Not slowly. There is one specific moment tonight when you cross from being a conscious person into being no one at all, and you will be totally unaware it happened. Nobody has ever felt themselves fall asleep. Think about that. The most ordinary thing your body does, every single night, happens inside a blind spot you cannot look into. But the blind spot isn't even the strange part. The strange part is what your brain does in the 90 seconds before it closes. Because the doorway into sleep is one of the weirdest states of consciousness a human can enter, and you walk through it every night without noticing you were ever there. Let's start with your eyes closing. Right now, awake, your brain is flooded with the outside world. Light, sound, the temperature of the room, the position of your arm, all of it is streaming in through a structure deep in the center of your brain called the thalamus. Think of the thalamus as a gate. Every signal from your senses has to pass through it to reach the conscious part of your brain. All day, that gate is wide open. But as you drift towards sleep, the thalamus does something deliberate. It starts to close. In the 1990s, sleep researchers tracking brain activity watched it happen in real time. As you fall asleep, the thalamus stops relaying sensory information to the cortex. The room is still there. The sound is still there. But the gate is shut, and the messages stop getting through. This is why a voice in the room can blend into your dream instead of waking you. Your brain is still receiving the world. It has just stopped letting you see it. And the gate doesn't slam. It closes in waves. For a minute or two, you flicker, half in, half out, catching a fragment of the room, then losing it, then catching it again. You felt this. You're sure you're still awake. You could swear you never drifted off. And then your own twitch or a sound yanks you back, and you realize, with a small jolt, that you have no idea how long you were gone. And in that narrow window, while the gate is closing but not yet shut, something appears. Scientists call it hypnagogia. You know it as the strange little movie that plays behind your eyelids right before you're gone. Faces that aren't anyone. A staircase. A sentence that almost makes sense. The feeling of falling. These aren't dreams. You're not asleep yet. They're the hallucinations of a brain caught exactly between two worlds. In 2000, a Harvard researcher named Robert Stickgold ran an experiment that made this visible. He had people play Tetris for hours. That night, as they drifted off, 3 out of 4 reported seeing Tetris blocks falling behind their closed eyes. Here's the unsettling part. He also tested people with amnesia, patients who couldn't remember playing the game at all. They saw the falling blocks, too. They had no memory of Tetris, but their sleeping brains were still replaying it, which tells us something profound. The part of you that becomes images as you fall asleep is older and deeper than the part of you that remembers your own day. It doesn't care what you did. It only replays the shape of it, the falling block, the endless road, the repeated motion of your hands. Whatever you spent the day doing, your brain rehearses it one last time on the way down in a language with no words. Sometimes, right at this edge, your whole body convulses. A sudden violent jerk, like you missed a step on a staircase. Maybe it wakes you. Maybe it scares you. This is a hypnic jerk, and almost everyone gets them. For a long time, nobody knew why. One leading idea is unsettlingly ancient. As your muscles go limp and your heart rate drops, a primitive part of your brain misreads the relaxation as a sign that you are falling. The way an ape might slip from a branch while sleeping in a tree, so it fires an emergency signal. Wake up, grab something. You don't have a branch anymore. You have a mattress. But the alarm system that evolved millions of years ago doesn't know that yet. Now, follow what happens to you. The narrator in your head, the voice reading these words. As the gate closes and the images rise, your sense of self begins to dissolve. The network in your brain responsible for your sense of being a continuous person, the part that worries, plans, and says I, goes quiet. Researchers studying the moment of sleep onset have found that your sense of time breaks first, then your sense of place. You forget you are in a bed. You forget you are a person in a room with a ceiling. This is why if someone wakes you in those first minutes, you might not know where you are, what year it is, or for one strange second, who you are. You weren't deeply asleep. You had just put yourself down. There was no dramatic fade to black, no final thought. The you that had narrated every waking second of your day simply stopped being generated, quietly, mid-sentence, and nothing in you noticed the silence. But here's what almost nobody talks about. That blurry, half-dissolved state isn't useless. It might be the most creative your brain ever gets. In 2021, a team at the Paris Brain Institute, led by Delphine Oudiet, tested an old trick. Thomas Edison supposedly napped holding steel balls over a metal plate, so that the instant he fell asleep, his hand would relax, the balls would crash down, and he'd wake up clutching whatever idea had just surfaced. The researchers recreated it in the lab. They woke people the moment they slipped into that first foggy stage of sleep, then handed them a hidden math puzzle. The people pulled out of early sleep were nearly 3 times more likely to crack the hidden rule than people who stayed fully awake. There is always a doorway, they concluded, a brief window at the edge of sleep where the mind is loose enough to make connections it would never make awake. Edison was right. The genius is in the falling, not the sleep. And then the window closes. Your brain shifts into the first true stage of sleep, and the electrical rhythm changes. Slow, rolling waves begin. Occasional sharp bursts called sleep spindles fire across your brain, and one of their jobs is to protect your sleep, to keep the closing gate shut against the world. This is the exact moment you disappear. Not into nothing. Your brain is now busier than it was during half your boring afternoon. It is sorting the day, filing memories, repairing tissue, washing itself clean. Channels open between your brain cells and a slow tide of fluid moves through, carrying out the waste that built up while you were awake. But the part of all that activity that was you, the watcher, the inner voice, is simply not running anymore. The lights in the house are on, the machinery is humming, the person who lived there has just stepped out the back door without telling anyone. So here is what actually happened tonight. In the 90 seconds you'll never remember. A gate deep in your brain quietly sealed the world away. A flood of images rose up from a layer of you older than memory. An ancient alarm checked one last time, whether you were falling from a tree. For one loose, brilliant moment, your mind made connections it could never make in daylight, and then the voice that calls itself you went silent and you were gone, hours before you'd ever know it. You do this every night, thousands of times across your life. You stand in the single strangest doorway a human mind can occupy, the exact seam between someone and no one. And every night you walk through it the same way, not with fear, not with wonder. You just close your eyes in the dark, certain you're still awake, right up until the moment there's no one left to be certain.